Well, good morning and welcome to the 21st of January 2025 in the comments video, and we'll start off with the weather. Right now, outside the rig here, 3 miles outside of Quartzsite in the desert, it's 35 degrees burr, and it's 6:03 a.m. We're going to have a high of 59 today, a low of 35. I guess we're there now. And sunny skies all day, great solar day. The winds have finally died down. They were pretty strong yesterday, and we survived that. We got a couple more days here, I think Thursday and Saturday, where we're got peak sustained winds of 12 to 14 miles an hour, and I generally don't even mention anything over 10 or under 10. I don't even mention. In most days in the next 10 days or so, or 10 miles per hour and less at the peak. And generally the way it works, when I say 10 mile per hour wind on Tuesday, it generally means that's the peak. There may be 2 or 3 hours in the afternoon that kind of peak up to that, but the rest of the day is maybe half that or 3/4 that. So it's not too bad. What about temperatures, you say? Well, it's 59 today, but we're going to bounce back up to the high 60s tomorrow. And it bounces around a little bit, but by the last day of the month and the first week of February, we're into the 70s. And check it out, Monday and Tuesday, the 3rd and 4th of February, it's 77 and 85 with a low of 49 and 48. So we're maybe coming out of the January. Can be pretty tricky with the winds and the cold. And the thing that's surprising is I haven't seen, I think we've had drops of water. I miss them. I can't make solid. I've not seen a single drop of water since November. And this time last year, there was a whole day during the Big Ten that it was torrential downpours, but it has not happened so far this year. But the area desperately needs a little bit of water. So, comments. Holy moly. I did something yesterday that I didn't realize what I had done until it was too late. You know, I try to keep politics off the page. I had been out and about just doing a regular video, had walked by a group, a kind of formalized group out here. It's not important who they are, but they represent a lifestyle that for some reason some people find offensive, and I was taken aback by some of the comments that were being made that I had to delete. And the next day it bothered me, and I was out walking and I started talking about, the intent was I want to talk about how that bothers me. I don't, like, why can't people just let people be and not be so judgmental? And I've been pretty out of touch with really on a day-to-day what's going on with politics. Here, you can imagine, and those of you already know the mistake that I made. This thing, DEI, and when I first started, I had no idea what it was, and I looked it up. It said diversity, equity, inclusion, and I'm like, wow, people are really angry about this. How can you be angry about those 3 words? And I sort of went in to talk about what those 3 words meant to me. And I really got a real stronger, I was complaining about the strong negative reaction that I got in this video. Well, this was much bigger. And lo and behold, I did it before Inauguration Day, and the new President Trump was sworn in yesterday. And I happened to look at the news, and it talked about the executive orders that he did, you know, the ones that are super important to him, that he got out the door on day one. And one of them had to do with eliminating DEI programs from federal agencies. I'm like, oh no, not oh no that he's eliminating. Oh no, that boy, I couldn't have got much more politically charged, and that was not my intent. Had I had any idea that the president's first action was on this topic, I'm not saying I never would have talked about it again, but I certainly wouldn't have talked about it on that day. And here's what it boiled down to, is I think that many people equate the programs of diversity, equity, and inclusion in with what I know from being my age, affirmative action, where the perception of affirmative action is that they're groups that have been underserved for years and years and years. We're going to make up for it by like having quotas for X number of minorities in college admissions and things like that, which, by the way, was, I think, was struck down by the Supreme Court. I think maybe just for federal government-funded schools. I think privately funded. I don't know. Doesn't matter. I'm not trying to make this a topic again. What I'm trying to say is that if you look at the words, diversity, people being different, being included, equality, if you just look at those three words, those can be really beautiful things and things to aspire to. Boy, I made a mistake. And I almost turned off the comments, but that seems, I don't know, there's something about that. Turning off the comments, I've seen providers do it when things get out of hand, and it just didn't seem right. But anyway, I pinned a comment out there, and I'll get to it, because I'll read my own comment when I get through here. Anyway, I didn't mean to offend anybody, but boy. And I did have the debate with you'll see with some of the comments, and I even put out I put out there that I guess talking about DEI policies as something that can be misused and create something unfair, comment away. I'm not going to like delete that. Even if I don't agree with that and I think affirmative action is a good thing, I'm not going to delete that comment. That's legitimate discourse, intelligent interaction, and I didn't. So Gagooch on day 2 at the Big Tent, and that's when I went with Cheryl. That was so much fun. He says, "Good morning, Rob. Edit out your phone number, bud. Greetings from Warner Robins, Georgia." And Mike Dillon says he's okay with his phone number out there. In fact, I think it's done deliberately. He's single. I'm sorry to disappoint you, Mike, but my phone number, I didn't realize I included it, and 2, I'm not trolling for not being single by putting my phone number on my page. Sorry to disappoint you. And I comment there. My phone number is on my website, so it's okay. Even as a therapist, you say you let your clients have your phone number. How can you do that? So technology is easy. Some technology is easy. Like if somebody has your phone number and they're abusing it, it's one click to block them. It's not a big problem. Yeah, they can block their number, but you can always block unknown calls, which I do. If I don't know who someone is, it goes straight to my voicemail service, which creates a little thing that you have to go through verification to get through to me. And I often see calls that get through and declined and blocked due to they couldn't pass the verification. Oh, and by the way, and I got a couple more, and I'm like, I don't care, but this is making some people uncomfortable. And all it was Cheryl I handed the camera to Cheryl. She was filming me doing a transaction and buying something that I'm pretty excited about. And he asked me what my phone number was, and I said it on camera. Didn't even think about it. So to make everybody happy, I went back in and I edited out me saying the phone number. You can do that after. There's certain things you can edit after you've put it out onto YouTube. So I did that. It's not there anymore. Joe, anxious to see your review on the AC silencer. I did the next morning, yesterday morning, I did a review on a short, and it worked great. I'm very happy with it. I'm very satisfied. It's just an inside cover that I think, can you see it? I don't think. Can you see it up there? It's up there. Oh, you can't see it past the light. I'm sorry. Anyway, well, actually, you know what I can do? I can do this. All right. I'll get it eventually. All right. Do you see that's like the light, but right below it, this square thing is a replacement of what used to go over my AC unit. And there's a couple big advantages to it. The number one is that, let's get back around to me, it's insulated. So, you know, what they were advertising is it really brings the noise level down. And why is that important to me? Because if I sit here doing this video in the summer, and if it's hot, I can't have the AC on, or the background noise will be just pretty overwhelming. And even in post-production, I can't deal with it. So I have to sit here and it's hot. And more important than that, for me, when I do counseling sessions online, I have to have it off because it interferes, and I'll sit here sweltering because those sessions can go as, like, you know, almost an hour in length. And this, I think I'm going to be able to do the sessions with this. And the interesting thing was, when I turned it on the short I did, it seems to, oh, that seems pretty loud. And I realized the sound was no longer the AC unit compressor, because I put the camera up to that. That's hardly anything. The new sound that was noticeable was just these vents. I have 4 vents. It's a vented system where the air, it's the sound of the air coming through the vent, which is not, there's not a lot you can do about that other than restrict the flow, do things that restrict the flow, which you don't want to do. But that was surprising. Anyway, that was Joe. Joe wanted to see the review. Mighty Mousy Van has Cheryl with a heart because Cheryl was in that video. Lisa Roth, my buddy Lisa. Good morning, Rob. Dottie and George, your video is just beginning, but I wanted to say right off the bat that I appreciate you as a friend and neighbor. Thanks for being you. That's pretty nice of you, Lisa. Mighty Mousy Van said, you and Cheryl are a great combination. Truly, Pup Camper 58. I have a van now and I'm building it out. Good for you. And Pup Camper answers and says, congratulations on your build out. And I'm wondering, Pup Camper, Cheryl, did you get any subscribers from day 2 at the Big Tent? And Cheryl's even on my thumbnail. Mike Dillon quotes Cheryl in the video with her looking at me and saying, you're the one with the bad keister. So there's a device they were selling that's a cane that you sort of flip a button and a little seat comes out and a tripod and it turns into a seat. So it's a cane that turns into a seat. And I think it's called a keister cane. And I walked by and I kidded Cheryl. I said, there's a good cane for you. And she did miss a beat. She says, you're the one with the bad keister, buddy. It's beautiful. D.D. Cornell, and hopefully my bad keister, it's bad hip, but hopefully I'll get that. I'll get surgery this spring and I'll be relieved of that. So I won't need a keister cane. D.D. Cornell, good morning, Mr. Rob, Dottie, and George. Oh, good morning, Dee. Pam Kreiner, what is the Rainbow Group? I said it's an RV club that has meetups multiple times each year. I think mostly in California. They've been here every single season for 17 years. And Pam again has another one saying good morning. Well, good morning, Pam. And she has yet another one. Pam has 3 in a row. Another video I watched mentioned oriented your rig in a specific manner according to the prevailing winds, but they didn't mention which direction. I assume you want your RV to face into the winds head on. Correct. You betcha. I said avoid the broad side of your rig, the one with the most surface area facing the prevailing wind. I've never heard of anybody's rig being blown over. Doesn't mean that's never happened. I've just never heard of it happen. I guess if the conditions are right and your broadside is to it, and I've been out here where there's been 70, maybe 72 mile per hour gusts. It was close last night. I bet there were 60 mile an hour gusts. So it can be scary. And Ken got out there and saw my short on the purchase that us talked about, and he said, good purchase. Pup Camper 58. Another fun day with Travels with Dottie in Quartzsite, Arizona. Thanks for another fun day, Rob. I'm glad I let you talk into going to the Big Tent. Diana Soapmaker. Hi Rob, have you tried beard oil for the itching? It looks like a charm for my husband. Sorry for the itching. It's uncomfortable for sure. Yeah, it is. And I'm going to check that out. Maybe somewhere in one of the vendors will be selling beard oil. I bet somebody does. If anybody's seen that, like someone selling beard oil in Quartzsite in one of the tents or something, let me know where it is. John Adams, hi Rob, found some round filters for the AC outlet on Amazon. They quiet the noise but reduce the airflow. You know, John, and that's where I got the idea, because I read that comment from you the other day, or yesterday. I'll check that out, and maybe I'll just see how much it reduces the airflow and how in sound. It doesn't sound like they'd be too expensive. Katie Hoke said, Rob, at the 19-minute mark, you gave your phone number. You might want to edit that out. And I said, thank you. And Mighty Vousman has a laughing face. And Debbie says, looks like fun and great stuff there. Yeah. Okay, the phone number's gone. It's okay. Virginia Hankey said, the big tent reminds me of those various state home shows, but on steroids. I felt a little excitement as you wandered through the big tent like I was there with you. Madison Dean says, hey Rob, I've been enjoying your daily comments and ride arounds Quartzsite for about 3 weeks. Love the calmness and general love. Your neighbor and life vibe makes my day. The negative comments some people leave are disappointing. They're predominantly just miserable folks, it seems, and terribly misinformed. Love your attitude, and it makes me stop and think about interactions with folks around me. Thanks for the good, peaceful vibes. Love to Dottie and George. Hope to get to Quartzsite someday. And Angel Ann, good morning, Rob and Dottie. Rob and Dottie and our little orange is a fruitcake George. Angel and I from chilly North Carolina, sending lots of hugs and love from here. The hugs and love's warmer than our temps. I want to say enjoy you addressing the comments every morning. And we enjoy the long videos. Thank you for this as well. And she says, my mom loved fruitcake. Me, I enjoy orange ones. And while the sweetness is what I was referring to with George, Angel, I had no doubt you meant that as a nice thing. Let's see. That was great to watch. Amazing Moving Tales was the positive news video, I believe, from yesterday. Just a collection of really nice little short stories. Virginia Hankey, thank you. Some of my best friends don't vote the same as I do, but we don't discuss politics. We love each other's company too much to jeopardize our friendship. And that didn't originally say thank you. It said that you. Then some of my best friends, I'm like, that you? And I said, that you? I don't understand. Which has always found the best practice. If you're not sure if someone is trying to poke you, ask and say you don't understand. And she said, I corrected my spelling error. I hate voice to text. It's too creative. And then I responded, I laughed. I had no idea. So again, see, this texting and messaging, you can easily misunderstand because of it, the wrong letter in the wrong place. So always check. Be curious, not judgmental. NJ Kermie. Does that mean New Jersey Kermie, maybe? I don't like being political either, so I will be kind to all. I'm amazed at the ugly comments I've read. Maybe some people are just unhappy, maybe jealous, or maybe fearful of others. I wasn't able to make it out to Quartzsite this year, but I'll be there next year. What I love about Quartzsite is the camaraderie, sense of community that exists. Absolutely. Personally, I think we need more of that. Less judging and more acceptance would definitely make the world a better place. Love and peace to all. Love your videos. Well, thank you. And Mighty Mousy Van says, I agree. Matt Lindemann, I think you said it perfectly. Love and tolerance is good. And this is all on that video. I got to call it my DEI video, walking in the desert and wondering about stuff. Mighty Mousy Van says he didn't go political. He brought up people being hateful or unkind or not compassionate. And beep, beep, I'm a car. I like that. I hope the async thing worked. And I said, yes, it did. It worked great. Let's see. All right. So Danny Nomad had a pretty long thing on the DEI, but I thought, he was making an okay argument. DEA sounds like a great concept. Agree there. But the problem is how it's implemented within policy. It ends up just being thinly veiled racism and sexism. When a university admits a student because a certain percentage of students have to be black, that's racism. No more, no less if a student is admitted because they're white. When a company chooses to promote a woman because company policy mandates a certain number of female supervisors, that's sexism. No more, no less if a man was chosen for being a man. Many DEI policies, as currently written, mandate percentages to diverse, ignoring the merits of the individual. DEI is at the core is discrimination based on characteristics that people have no control over. I have a dream that someday will be judged not by the basis of our skin color, but the content of our character. And that is, that he's talking about a Martin Luther King speech. That last part is from that speech, and I lost my space, my place. So give me a minute to get back down here, because there are a lot of okay. Wow, I need to go pretty far down here. I'm sorry about that. I don't know why. So that was Danny the Nomad. So I responded to that. I said, I think policies that honor diversity, equity, inclusion are a good thing. Affirmative action was a good thing for minorities discriminated for many years. Good discussion, though. And he said, I disagree. Racial discrimination is wrong regardless of who is being discriminated against. And you can disagree. That's fine. And Mighty Mousy Van says that in the Quartzsite problem he brought us fifth, being mean or unkind to his comment section. I think we can all agree it always being unproductive and unkind to all. And so here's the issue, and that comes up over and over again to me, is DEI is bad, DEI policies are bad, and it's reverse discrimination. And I'm like, okay, I never delved this deep into it, so I started looking, and all I found yet, and you guys can prove me wrong all day wrong, and I'll raise my hand and say, my bad, I missed it. I have only found supposition and things like there are policies that are DEI policies that do these horrible things. Not one place have I seen specifics on, here's a policy at XYZ company or government agency that directs people to discriminate flatly. I haven't seen it. Show me. Somebody show me. And I'm a little bit, I understand, like, affirmative action, and where really universities had to go and be like recruiting minority students to get the population up. And that certainly, how can you do that and not, if you have 100 admissions and you remove one admission, then that somebody else doesn't get in, right? I don't see that can be helped. I think the argument was that affirmative action and similar programs try to make up for years and years of discrimination. And that's a worthy argument to have. I don't want to have it here on Travels with Dottie, but there are lots of places to have a really healthy discussion about that that concept. And here's the thing that I think about. You are listening to and looking at a 65-year-old white Anglo-Saxon Protestant man that grew up in a upper middle class family. And I went to boarding school, prep school. I went to the college of my choice. I have been a man of privilege for 65 years. Doors are open to me that maybe are not open to other people that don't look and sound like me. I understand that. And my personal opinion is maybe it's somebody else's turn to have those kinds of opportunities. I'm grateful for all those opportunities, but I spent a good part of my life not understanding that I was living a life of privilege in comparison to a lot of other people that were struggling and suffering because of how they looked and sounded and things that they believed. And I realize it now. Mike Dillon said, was figuring there'd be comments for that video. There's some pretty strong misinformed opinions out there. People are people. My daughter is non-binary and is an absolutely beautiful person. Those other opinions are upsetting to me. Keep it up, Rob. Ron, I trust Dottie's judgment. Dogs know good people when they meet them. If she does not like them, then avoid them. All right. Well, we didn't have an instance of that in any video, but Dottie's I can't think of any specific exceptions where Dottie has taken a dislike to a person. Peter Rubin, hello, I've been watching you for a while. There's no excuse. There's no cure for ignorance. Yes, I don't do politics either, but once in a while you have to air shit out just for your own sanity. You be well. Well, very well meant, but I've got to strongly disagree with the line, there's no cure for ignorance. Ignorance is simply the lack of knowledge. Acquisition of knowledge is, in fact, the cure for ignorance. Which is why, like, when I hit a topic where there's lots of thumbnails and people disagree with me, I hit the internet and I start looking and searching, and I do a search for knowledge to remedy potential ignorance that I have on the topic, like what I did with DEI. As soon as the comments came in and said, I know a little something, I knew enough about DEI to make casually talk about it walking through the desert. I did not know enough about DEI to have really rational, intelligent discussions in the comments with people until I did a bunch of research. And I think it's important when you do research on things and try to resolve your own ignorance. Ignorance isn't a dirty word. I'm ignorant of the exact distance between right here and the surface of the moon. I know it's around 240,000 miles, but I don't know the exact distance. But I can remedy that ignorance in seconds by Googling it. Then there are going to be people that says, well, that distance changes every moment, that everything's in motion. Well, yeah, okay. That's even more, that fuels more, it gives me more information. It makes me less and less ignorant with every piece of information that I get. So the key, though, for me is I pretend to be a scientist. And scientists don't have a good scientist doesn't have an agenda. A good scientist isn't looking for the answer they think is right. They're looking for the answer. And if they have a pet theory they've had for 15 years and they find evidence that that theory is nonsense, then they're willing to throw that theory out the window and go forward. That's what science is all about. And that's what's one of the wonderful things about science. Montana wife says, when I saw the thumbnail for this, I knew what it was going to be about, and I also knew that you handle it with grace. Thank you. Well, thank you, Montana wife. Buck Reynolds says, love and tolerance is our code. Love thy neighbor, golden rule, stuff like that. Yeah, Buck Reynolds. Me and my 2 RVs. Follow your own path and let other follow yours. I think honest videos is good for some conversation. However, resentful negativity and harsh condemnation, it's how many unhappy individuals respond to happy people. It's a jealousy issue. So many miserable humans Bear. Stay cheerful, Robin Dottie. You're a breath of fresh desert air. And George, too. Thank you. Judy Jennings. If the comments are respectful, the opinions can be different. But the comment kept. I agree, and I do that. If the comment is purposely rude, mean, or you find offensive, give it to Bruce. Just my 2 cents, your channel, your rules. And that's exactly what I do. Let's see. Ricky says, people should be hired based on their abilities, nothing else. DEI is the antithesis of that. I give up. If a black person is most qualified for a position, hire them. Ditto an Asian person, a gay person, a woman, a white person, or a male. Companies were intentionally not hiring white males in favor of DEI. And I would say, Ricky, which companies? Name one. Let's show an example where maybe someone took them to court and the court found in favor of the plaintiff because they determined through the evidence that their DEI policy allowed this discrimination to occur. That means the most qualified candidates might not be getting hired based on some arbitrary policy of trying to be diverse, equitable, and inclusive while ironically being anything but. If DEI meant bringing the best candidate, period, wherever they are, it would be a positive thing, but we would just be hiring the most qualified candidate, and we wouldn't need acronyms to describe it. I'm against nepotism as well, because it usually doesn't produce the best or the brightest. I get the sense you disagree with this, and that's fine. Still love your channel, not going anywhere, even if you feed me to Bruce. Not going to feed you to Bruce. I must have watched 100 hours of your videos in the past few weeks. Ever to make Quartzsite, I'll buy you a pizza and a Diet Coke. I absolutely disagree, but very respectful and well thought out argument. And I disagree with it for the lack of evidence for the supposition that DEI equals discrimination. And I went looking for that, and I actually went looking for examples of court cases. Because guess what? If you discriminate based on race, religion, color, gender, age, that's all federal law. It's illegal. And you can sue. And if it's that straightforward that you were discriminated against because of this written policy, that's a pretty easy lawsuit. Okay? And where do I get my credibility to say that? I have sued for civil rights violation in federal court in an employment situation, and the result of that, when the evidence came out, I was given a sizable settlement. The other side didn't want to go to court. I was given a sizable settlement. And there are people that say, well, I can't afford. There are plenty of law firms out there that will take your case on contingency. The best ones won't. The best ones are going to ask for a retainer, and yeah, it costs money, but there are plenty of lawyers out there. If you have a good case like this, what they're describing is, a DEI policy is the direct cause of discrimination in the workplace. That's actionable. You can sue. In a contingency basis means that the law firm fronts all. You don't give them a dime unless you win, and they take anywhere from usually 30 to 40% of the settlement. There you go. And I'm not making that up. I did it in federal court. Look it up. You'll find it. If you know my name, you can find it. Bob Fisher says there's nothing wrong with being compassionate and kind to people, but it's so much more than that. Before I retired, I was on the DEI committee. Once I got more involved, it didn't take me long to drop off the committee. I didn't and don't feel it was right asking people what their pronouns were, such as individual deciding they wanted to be identified as a they or them instead of she, because suddenly they decided not to identify as the gender they were born with. Suddenly the person didn't. It goes to, no disrespect, Bob, I'm not going to read the whole thing because it goes on, but I will say that I have some sympathy here. I remember before I retired when it was big, and we had this guy came in and gave us this lecture about the proper pronouns, and there were like new words that I'd never heard about before. And I'm like, even if I wanted to do this, I don't have the memory capacity or the intellectual horsepower to remember all these terms and who they apply to. And that part of it, now, he's not saying people are discriminated against. He's saying he was on a DEI committee and it took a left turn for him talking about all these things that people wanted to be called and not called, and they're free to change their mind, and that you're not a good citizen in the company if you're not using these pronouns correctly. I think it goes too far. I do. I think it. So that's a good argument. If that's what DEI does in an organization. Now, here's an example. I believe him. He was there. This isn't repeating some rumor. He was there. That's what he's experienced. And the umbrella of DEI in his company, he's like, I'm out. I want nothing to do with that. And that's you can argue that honors diversity. It's equal and it's inclusive of people, but anything good can go too far, right? I still don't remember. I remember the guy giving us the training on it, and I still don't remember some of the. I was like, are those pronouns actually words from somewhere? I've never heard them before. I was baffled. So this one, we mentioned a candidate. I left it just because I opened this can of worms here. I didn't want politics on here, but at this point, I saw President Trump had done a DEI executive order, said I got to take responsibility for opening up in this video a political can of worms. Tom says, I'm a political moderate. I voted for Harris, though people on the left think I'm on the right and people on the right think I'm on the left. I try to find middle and look for compromise in American politics, but I don't like Trump. He feeds off hate, fear, and division. Okay. And someone jumps in and says, love Trump. And Mighty Mouse Fan says, I agree. It's not clear which side Mighty Mouse Fan agrees with, but here's what I have to say to everyone about this. And I wrote it here. I like the idea of compromise and common ground. I sure would like to see more of that from everyone, myself included. You know, and here's what I long for in politics. I like the good fight between parties leading up to the election. I long for a candidate to say, like before the election, hey, if you vote for me and you're the other side and you're spitting venom and reasons why I shouldn't be there, if I win, you're welcome over here. I'll accept every one of you with open arms. And if I'm elected, I will do my best to look out for your sensibilities and issues, as well as those that are here in my rally supporting me. No one said that. I was waiting for someone to say that. I think it's been said in the past, but sure, the past couple of cycles, nothing like that's been said. Right? The idea isn't that you get elected and you go and you with the idea to protect only the interests of the people that voted for you, and to hell with the people that didn't vote for you. That's not the basis for this America, our country. It's not. It's that our politicians are supposed to represent the interests of everyone, regardless of who they voted for. Right? And I'd like to see that. I'd like to see more of that. Lillian Baker says, I don't think your political love and kindness is what I took from your comments. Maybe it will be interpreted as so because Trump just announced only male and female sexes will be acknowledged. Anyway, we are all equals no matter our sex or ethnicity. I have incredible bad timing, don't I? It's going to be the last acronym that anywhere related to politicians that I'm going to have. I'm certainly not afraid to debate this issue, and we'll do it with friends and acquaintances, but not a great move on my part on the channel. Not great. James Donovan said, agree 100%, because if you have to say it, you need mom to rethink your thoughts. What are we responding to here? What are we responding to, guys? What it's not saying what video. It's so for some reason it's no longer showing the video it's referring to. Okay. Mike, I agree 100%. Very well said, Rob. David Dresdow says DEI should be a pillar of America to introduce to the world. Well, I think those three words are diversity, equity, and inclusion. I'm not sure we should drag every policy and initiative that people associate with those three letters to the world, but those are beautiful. Those are beautiful words in the English language. Okay. Let's see. Chuck. We have a long list of interactions with Chuck here. We are all in the same rock in this universe. It's not my place to judge anyone. I believe that judgment will come from a much more knowing source. I think we're going to see less division in this country over the course of the near future. Our country must be a leader in this world, and I think we will do it justly and with less wars. Say what you want, but the security of this nation and its people must be a priority. Tough decision you made. But what decision are you referring to? What tough decision I made? He told me pretty quickly to open the conversation to political rhetoric, as you well know, people can become animated and quite rude. And I said, oh, yes, I could not argue with that. I was very naive, which I was. He says, Chuck goes on to say, I certainly would not have done what you did, but I don't have a YouTube channel, and I have no problem expressing my opinion under the appropriate conditions. I didn't feel commenting or responding to some of your subscribers was necessary. Your channel is informative and to the nomadic culture and valuable for that reason. Can't wait for Dottie in your next video. And I say, oh yes, agree. So that was pretty productive. And again, I didn't understand what he was saying, that I made a tough decision, and I didn't, instead of like taking that as a negative, I asked, I was curious, what decision are you referring to? He told me, and I go, oh yeah, I agree. Absolutely. Be curious, not judgmental. Gordon, it's Gordeng. Some of what you say is true, but when its government starts forcing DEI on corporations, government entities, and individuals, then it becomes a problem. And when you start forcing queer and tranny idealism on other individuals in our schools, it becomes a big problem. I live and let live person myself, but don't force that on me. Thank God Trump was elected. He's already said that will stop today. And again, I don't know that anyone's forcing idealism on other people's, but maybe they are. I don't know. I don't know if that's, I have, for what this person said here, I got a whole big basket of I don't know. I need to be educated. So I'll do that myself. I'll go out and take a look at those things. Are there schools forcing transvestite idealism? And has the government forced DEI on corporations, government entities, and individuals? And like, what are they forcing? Then we talk about DEI policies, and one DEI policy can be a completely different animal than the other. So I don't think there's the government that says you will be DEI. I think there's probably, this is the program that you are mandated to do, and people label that program as part of, under the umbrella of diversity, equity, and inclusion. And you can do good stuff under those three words, or you can do really stupid stuff under those words. That's what being curious and research is all about. So Ken says, I have a feeling this will piss a lot of people off. I'm unable to properly express my feelings on DEI or quotas. It was due to race gender quotas I was let go in a time when no one was hiring. Put a bookmark on that, because I'm going to come back to that in a minute. And if I was not eligible for early retirement, I would be much worse off than I am now. There is a large difference between teaching people to respect other people and the government being taken advantage of by people who have been taught they are marginalized. As long as we have to legislate equality, we will not have equality. Let's put a bookmark on that statement too. I am able to say it's silly and wrong to judge anyone by perceived or actual differences. And so I had a lengthy response to that, and I'll read it to you. And the first thing is, as long as we have to legislate equality, we will not have equality. I said, that's really interesting. And I asked Ken, are you against these legislative actions? I list the Civil Rights Act of 1964, Age Discrimination in Employment Act of 1967, the 19th Amendment giving women the right to vote, the 13th Amendment abolishing slavery. Do you think the things would be better if these had not passed? That he was certainly saying, implying that legislating equality is not a good thing. So here's my evidence. I personally disagree. I think it's a good thing. And bookmarking back to Ken's statement that says, it was due to race and gender quotas that I was let go at a time when no one was hiring. So he's saying because of race and gender, he was fired. That's illegal, Ken. That's illegal. And if you lost a job, and here's what I said, if you lost a job due to race, age, race, color, sex, or national origin, then you would have had an actionable federal lawsuit. I know because I filed one recently, a sizable settlement once the facts were established. And if it's true that the reason was quotas, then it would have been pretty. It's not that hard to prove. And how do I know? Again, I did it. So Ken responded. I said I am for them. So you Ken, I love you like the next breath, but you didn't say you were for them. As long as we have legislative, if we have to legislate equality, we will not have equality. That's not saying you're for them, but I'll believe you here that you're for them. I'm grateful and happy for the legislation we have. I can still be unhappy at how newer regulations are used to prefer someone based on non-job qualifications than based on merit. And so that's a little harder to prove. If you're hiring someone, that's not what he talked. He talked about being fired. Proving discrimination in hiring is very, very is difficult. Proving discrimination in firing is easier. I've done it. I've been there. Like I said previously in this video, I do have some direct experience with that. If you think you've lost a job because they wanted to put in a marginalized person and said you had to go, that is actionable. You can get money, yes, and you can find a lawyer that will take it on what they call contingency. You don't have to pay for it. It may be hard to find one, but it'll pay off big time. Your time will pay off. JT Wanderer, yes, there's integrity in calling out unkindness. We can't keep both siding stands. Some ideas are harmful to living peacefully with each other. If we keep tolerating unkindness, then unkindness will be normalized. We can't keep both siding stands. Yeah, I think I understand what's meant by that. You can take the concept of water and you can make a cogent argument that water is bad because it's the number one cause of drowning in this country is water. It's bad, right? So too much or the misuse of anything good can be disastrous, right? Water. can be disastrous. There's even circumstances where too much pure oxygen can be harmful. Yeah. Basic elements to sustain life, too much of it can kill you, or at the very least hurt you quite a bit. And a concept like DEI can be very helpful, and it can be very harmful depending on to what degree and how it's used. B. Schwinn, I find a lot of these people filled with hatred, powerless, and owning and changing their own lives and tearing down the success of others. VEWNZ, there are particular sects in our society that we can't align and can't agree with. You just have to avert your eyes and steer clear of them in their life choices. Wasn't sure exactly what they're referring to, so I had a judicious, I think, even-handed response. I said, yes, some choose to be judgmental regarding how others live their lives. This saddens me. Debbie Hersko says, I don't like to discuss politics, but I do have 2 cents on this one. My feeling is that no one should be overlooked for a position because of race, religion, or sexual preference. On the same hand, no one should be selected for a position because of those. Either you are qualified or you're not. Okay? So that, all true statements. It may or may not bear any relation to the acronym DEI and how it's used all over the country. So in some cases, it could support this view, and in other cases, not at all. Again, evidence. Condemning something, like condemning water because people drown. Guess I got a message that I'm about to overheat the camera. And I'm not done with it yet. Slim Pickens says, hey Rob, spent my morning watching TV Newsmax 2. I'm not familiar. What a great day. Rob might answer your question. Trolls are not human. Delete and block. You have a good channel. Have a great day. Okay. Gregory Newman, Rob, your video yesterday was amazing and was very informative for me that there was a group I didn't know about, like-minded people like me that I could join and be a part of. For anyone that did not like it, they should just fast forward. You were not being inconsiderate in any way and just being a compassionate, wonderful person, letting people know there are all different types of people camping in the desert and also being very respectful. There's a place for everyone. I'm very sad to hear that some people are not appreciative of the content. It's like 2 steps forward, 1 step back for me anyway. And I responded and I said, your comment means a lot to me. I've been fielding disappointing comments all day today. I was feeling very discouraged until just now when I read this. Thank you. He said, we need more people to show us what it's really like so we can not walk in blindsided. Thank you so much. And here's my pinned comment on the notorious video, my notorious DEI video. Note, this has nothing to do with President Trump's executive order announced today on DEI policies in the federal government. I have no idea what the policies are that he's revoking, so I do not have an opinion. My intent was to talk about the idea of those 3 words meaning something good. I know anyone can use any words to make bad policy. So I'm just saying I'm not against what he did because I don't understand the reasons why he did it, the evidence. I got nothing here. So it could have been a great thing to do, or it could have been a terrible thing to do. It could have been a neutral thing to do. I have no idea. It was really terrible timing on my part. That's the thing I really accept. Stewart says, when you have men pretending to be women to compete in women's sports, when you have people denying the difference between men and women, when Jews are accused of genocide, when lawlessness rules cities like San Francisco and Portland, when the hate and violence are thrust upon Republicans, then we have okay, now, sorry, no, this is just, Stuart, sorry, man. No, I'm not going to even bother reading the rest of this. This is just every, angry talking point I've heard. So we're gonna, we're not gonna we're not going to do that here. Sorry, man. Hadn't seen that comment. Hi, Rob. This is from Terry. I never understood why people make such nasty, mean comments. I'm perfectly fine with people saying they disagree. Me too. We all disagree with something, but my point is that one does not have to be mean and nasty. I actually think a debate or discussion is a healthy thing in regard to DEI. Okay, Rob. I think people might be upset with the DEI movement that is abused or misused. Like water. Yeah, I am against the misuse of water. Employers or elections, etc., can use it as a reason to hire a candidate primarily based on their race, color, etc., instead of just hiring the best qualified and experienced individual. Okay, we've rehashed this over and over again in the comments. I get that this could happen. My question is, does it happen? If so, how often? How big a problem is it? And, I went looking. And the place to find where this is existing, because it's illegal, is the court system. Courts will take care of this stuff. There are laws about discrimination and in reverse discrimination. As a matter of fact, affirmative action, the Supreme Court a few years ago, I think 2023, said affirmative action in college admissions, no, you need to be colorblind. And they addressed that. They said that's reverse discrimination, no good. So that's primarily where I look when I do my research, saying, is there a lawsuit? Can we find any lawsuits here that concerns DEI? And it's pretty hard to find. And believe me, if there's teeth and reality to this, people will be filing the lawsuits because they can be very profitable. SDH says, great video. I totally agree with you. Jack Brown, Rob, have you ever spent a few months or more in a non-Western country, say Asia? There's no DEI or very little in Asia. You don't see white people in positions of power in politics or the bureaucracy or military in Asia. DEI is strictly a thing in the West and mostly in the English-speaking countries. Okay, so Jack, your point is that in Asia you don't see white people in positions of power in politics? I wonder why not. I'm pretty stunned by this comment, Jack. You might want to rethink what you're saying here. Okay. I'm a little speechless on that one. Hey, Rob, this is Haas. I don't have any answers on this and that, but I think you answered your own question. Some people lack empathy combined with lack of understanding. It can be frightening, lack of understanding. It can be frightening to some people and threatening to their way of life. I saw and noticed the things that others notice, but they commented about it in your video. I just don't worry about what others are doing or thinking because we're all different. We all have to live together. But some don't think that way, so they have to complain about it. I hope I don't get banned. Have a good day, and God bless you all. Why would you get banned? You didn't say anything. You said all pretty nice things. Never delete comments. Yeah, so is that a directive? Adam on trail? Well, guess what? Yours is getting deleted. You're being fed to Bruce because directives on what I do and don't do in my channel, I'm not a big fan. Not a big fan. I like your comment that folks, this is Jay Mortimer. I like your comment that folks who do not like DEI would change their mind if they were one of the excluded people. I really like listening to you. Yeah, that I didn't mention that in this video is like, if you don't like the concept of diversity, equity, and inclusion, you may change your mind when you wake up someday and you find that a large number of people consider you to be diverse, and that you find you're not equal, and there's things that you're not included in that you want to be part of, then you'll be going, where's my DEI? She also says, Cheryl Pupcamper 58 YouTube. Okay. I'd love to see you monitor and delete all the comments that you don't think are proper or pertinent or representative of your channel. It's your channel. Yeah, I do. And I will say, sometimes I get an email from someone saying, obviously you blocked me from the channel. I want to know why. And so, I can't tell you. I block a lot of people. There's no record of the comment that's associated with me blocking, but believe me, I give it thought when I do it. So if you're finding that you're the only one that can see your comments, you did say things that I found disruptive, offensive, not something that I want on my channel. And I'm sorry, but I got one, I think yesterday, from someone, and I do remember vaguely the screen name and the fact that it was a hard decision. It's a hard decision when I have, especially when I have someone that's been making nice regular comments and suddenly they come out with one that is bothersome. And usually, if I might respond to it and ask questions. I might just delete the comment. But if I keep seeing it, I'm gonna hide the user from the channel. And believe me, if that's happening to you, it's either I've never seen you before and you made an offensive comment, or you've been around for a while and you've done it multiple times. Blue Pony, I agree with you. I'm all for equal opportunity, but not at the cost of sacrificing qualifications or lowering standards for the job, especially the jobs in saving human life, such as police or fire. The same opportunity should be given to everyone, but lowering the standards. Okay, I'm not going to read the rest of this. I hear a lot of this about, like, the LA Fire Department. Give me the evidence that they've lowered the standards, right? It just, where's the evidence? Other than people with opinions shouting that this is the case and this is what's happening, and pounding the table with they're lowering the standards. We're putting us at risk. It's horrible, and people react emotionally to that. There's an old saying, with lawyers, if you can't pound on the facts, pound on the table, and you see a lot of table pounding out there. Sharon Williams, it's being politically misused by certain political people as a way to cause hate and fighting amongst each other. I think that's probably in many cases true. I myself don't care because it's not our job to judge. I just do not want it jammed down my throat. Let's just be kind to one another and stay out of people's business. Live your life. And I hear that jam down my throat thing. I don't know what that means. I don't know what that means. If there's like diversity, equity, whatever kind of policy is out there, is that jammed down my throat? I guess I don't understand what that means. To me, it means like jammed down my throat is you're forcing me to do something I do not want to do. And I guess the analogy is like I told you in my workplace when they were having a training teaching me about all these pronouns. That felt like this is being jammed down my throat. I'm being forced to do this, and I'm being asked to something that even if I wanted to do it, I'd find it very difficult and maybe not even really practically possible for me to do. And Sue Brown, the last one today, 21 minutes ago, I agree. Thank you. It's not about politics. It's about humanity. What a great way to end today's hour-long one. Bless you if you've waited through this whole thing. I'll see you tomorrow, and enjoy today's video. I had fun yesterday at the Big Tent Show, and check that video out. It was a blast.